Most employees believe the expense policy exists to limit what they can spend. That belief is not entirely wrong. The policy does set limits. It does define what counts as a reimbursable expense and what doesn't. It does cap your daily meal allowance and specify which hotel tier requires prior approval. Those limits are real and they apply to everyone. But the expense policy is also something most employees never consider it to be, a document that contains entitlements, rights, claims the company is obligated to honor if you know they exist and ask for them. The same document that tells you what you cannot spend also tells you what you are owed. Most employees only ever read the first half. The company has no particular interest in pointing out the second half. Ben had been with the company for 2 years when he was sent on a week-long training course, mandatory attendance. The company booked the hotel and the train. What it didn't cover was food. Lunch and evening meals were Ben's responsibility, claimable up to a fixed daily allowance. He kept his receipts, stayed within the limits most nights, and submitted his expense report on the Monday he returned. His manager called him in an hour later. One receipt, a dinner on the final night, was £11.75. The daily limit was £11.72. Ben had overspent by 3 pence. His manager refused to sign off the entire report, cited policy, and sent him back to his desk to resubmit. Ben resubmitted, but this time he read the policy first. Then he read the staff handbook. Then he read his contract. What he found changed the number considerably. The expense policy that his manager had cited as the reason for rejecting his claim contained the following entitlements Ben had never claimed. A fixed amount per evening for calling his family while away, no receipt required. A nightly payment for being away from home, again, no receipt. A one-off payment for any trip requiring more than 3 hours of travel each way. Overtime for the hours spent traveling since the course ran beyond his contracted hours. Double time for the Sunday travel since it fell outside the working week entirely. When Ben resubmitted with these additions, all drawn directly from the policy his manager had told him to read, the total was not the £75 he had originally expected. It was closer to £325. His manager called him back in and told him he wouldn't sign off on it. Ben referred him to the specific policy sections, told him he would escalate above him if necessary, and reminded him that none of this would have been claimed if the manager hadn't sent him back to read the policy in the first place. He got every penny. He told every colleague he trusted. This is not an isolated incident. It is a structural feature of how expense policies are written and communicated. The policy document exists in 2 parts that are never explicitly labeled as such. The first part, limits, caps, restrictions, approval requirements, is communicated actively. Managers reference it. HR mentions it at onboarding. The expense software enforces it automatically. Employees absorb it through repetition and correction. The second part, entitlements, allowances, payments the company is obligated to make, is communicated passively. It sits in the document. Nobody points to it. The expense software doesn't prompt you to claim it. Your manager doesn't mention it when you return from a business trip. It exists in the policy the same way a clause exists in a contract nobody reads, technically visible, functionally invisible. The asymmetry is not accidental. A company that actively communicates the restrictive half of its expense policy while passively burying the entitlement half is not making an administrative oversight. It is managing its costs. The expense policy is also a document almost nobody fully understands, including the people enforcing it. Research on corporate expense compliance consistently shows that manual enforcement is inherently subjective. One manager approves an expense, another would reject. One finance team flags a category, another waves through. The policy becomes complex over time, as new rules are added and old ones are never removed. A document that grows in one direction, accumulating restrictions, while the entitlements remain exactly where they were originally written and equally unread. This creates a second layer to the mechanism. Not only does the company benefit from employees not knowing their entitlements, the company also benefits from inconsistent enforcement of the restrictions. An expense that is approved for one employee and rejected for another is not a sign of a broken system. It is a sign of a system that was never designed to be consistently applied in the first place. The 3 pence rejection was not about 3 pence. It was about a manager applying the restrictive half of the policy with precision, while remaining entirely unaware of, or choosing not to mention, the entitlement half that existed in the same document. There is a third dimension to this that most corporate employees never encounter until it happens to them. Underspending can be flagged too. One employee sent away for 3 weeks on a corporate card was called into a meeting by a senior manager after 4 days, not for overspending, but for underspending. He had been eating at cheap local restaurants and fast food outlets near the office. His daily allowance was £75. He was spending £10 to £15. The manager told him this was a problem. He was expected to eat at restaurants, to spend what was allocated. The reason was institutional. If accounting sees that employees can eat adequately for £10 a day, the budget gets cut the following year. The expense allowance exists partly to be spent so that the budget can be defended. The employee adjusted. He began eating proper restaurant meals on the company's allowance, and on days he knew he was well under the limit, he bought items that required no receipt submission. He flew home, having claimed everything he was entitled to, all within policy. The expense system, it turned out, was less a financial control mechanism and more a negotiation, one that most employees enter without knowing the terms, and exit having claimed far less than they were entitled to. The question worth asking is why this pattern repeats across companies that have nothing else in common. Different industries, different sizes, different cultures. The same two-part policy structure, the same active communication of restrictions, the same passive burial of entitlements. Expense policies are written by finance and legal teams whose primary objective is cost control. The document they produce is technically complete. Every entitlement is in there, every allowance is documented, every obligation the company has is stated somewhere in the text. What the finance team is not responsible for is making sure employees find those entitlements and claim them. That responsibility belongs to nobody in particular. HR mentions the policy exists. Managers reference the restrictions when something gets flagged. Nobody is assigned to walk new employees through what they're owed. This is not a conspiracy. It is an incentive structure. No manager benefits from telling their team to claim more. No HR department is measured on how thoroughly it communicates employee entitlements. No finance team gets credit for maximizing employee reimbursements. The incentives all point in one direction, and the communication structure follows them without anyone having to make a deliberate decision to hide anything. The result is a document that is simultaneously transparent and opaque. Everything is written down. Nobody turns the light on the half that costs the company money. Ben's 3 pence overspend triggered a manager who knew the restrictive half of the policy well enough to cite it on the spot. That same manager had never mentioned, and may genuinely never have known, the entitlements sitting in the same document. The solution is not to game the system. It is to read the document the company gave you and understand what it actually says, both halves of it. Before your next business trip, before your next expense submission, find the full policy document, not the summary your manager sent you at onboarding, the full document. Read the sections on travel allowances, subsistence payments, overtime entitlements for out-of-hours travel, family contact allowances, and any payments associated with extended time away from your base location. Most employees will find at least one entitlement they have never claimed. Some will find several. None of them require anything beyond what the company already agreed to pay when the policy was written. Ben's manager told him to read the policy. It was the most expensive piece of advice his manager ever gave. The expense policy is not a limit. It is a negotiation document with one side pre-filled. The company filled in the restrictions. They left the entitlements blank. Not because they don't exist, but because nobody told you to look for them. The assumption, which turns out to be largely correct, is that most employees will read the part that tells them what they can't do and stop there. The document doesn't care whether you read all of it or half of it. Your paycheck does.